Number 9. Joanna and Quetzali Barra. Texas sisters Joanna and Quetzali Barra, who were both in their late teens or early 20s, went to get their nails done together at a Harris County salon called Katie Nails on May the 29th of 2021. As was later detailed by the county sheriff's office, the sisters received both manicures and pedicures, after which they became upset with the salon's owner over the cost of the services, which they deemed to be inordinately expensive. While Joanna initially paid the fee and left the store, her sister lingered behind and began shouting at the owner about the supposedly high prices. Joanna then came back inside and joined in the argument. As tensions continued to escalate, the salon owner, a 42-year-old male, attempted to push the unruly sisters out of his establishment. At that point, Joanna allegedly brandished a firearm and shot the man before fleeing in an orange Ford Fusion with Quetzali. The victim was airlifted to the hospital, where he was said to have been kept in critical but stable condition. Local authorities enlisted the public's help in identifying and locating the women, who were eventually taken into custody in early June of 2021. Joanna reportedly faced a charge of aggravated assault, while Quetzali was charged with evading arrest. Today's sponsor is Shaker & Spoon, which we're super excited to share with you because they help me make the most satisfying drink I've ever tasted, right from the comfort of my own home. Now, Shaker & Spoon is a monthly box service that'll impress everyone that comes over, because each month they provide you with a wealth of specific quality ingredients like syrups, bitters, tinctures, garnishes, specialty sodas, and more to create 12 custom cocktails. You'll get exclusive access to 3 recipes created by top cocktail connoisseurs from around the world, with enough ingredients to make 4 drinks from each, providing unique, exotic flavors that vary from drink to drink. And each box is centered around your liqueur of choice. Now, as a big bourbon fan, I opted for the summer-themed Bring On the Bourbon box. And one drink that stood out to me is a sparkler, created by the food and beverage industry veteran Sam Jimenez. It's called Is It Summer Yet? This refreshing, easy-to-mix cocktail pairs bourbon with sage aromatic hydrosol, strawberry rhubarb syrup, and Reading Soda Works Honey Pear Soda. My favorite part was the Honey Pear Soda from Reading Soda Works, which is actually a 100-year-old American soda brand that's recently become more popular in the mixology world, and something I never would have even thought to use in a cocktail had it not been for Shaker & Spoon. So, mix up something special in your glass today by clicking on the link below and using the code TWKY at the checkout, or go to shakerandspoon.com/TWKY for $20 off your first box. Number 8. Joanne Wells. In June of 2014, Joanne Wells was arrested and charged with a felony in connection to a $15,000 scam she'd devised with a pair of Target cashiers. Prior to making headlines for her criminal exploits, the 29-year-old woman had risen to prominence as one of the cast members of the reality TV series Gypsy Sisters, which centered on a Romanical family from West Virginia. According to subsequent reports on the matter, Wells had initially set her devious plan into motion by befriending 2 individuals who worked as cashiers at a Target in Cary, North Carolina. The employees allegedly agreed to scan fake barcodes on merchandise Wells purchased, as well as use expired coupons and gift cards over the course of a 10-day period in December of 2013. In exchange for their assistance, the reality TV actress shared with her accomplices a portion of the $14,786 she scammed in total from the store. After Wells's fraud was discovered, the Cary Police Department issued a warrant for her arrest, and she subsequently turned herself into the authorities. In August of 2014, the famed Romanical sister accepted a plea deal that sentenced her to 24 months of probation in lieu of jail time. Number 7. Sharla and Natasha Frost. A pair of identical twins from Commerce City, Colorado, were arrested following a racially motivated assault on their neighbors in May of 2018. The suspects, identified as Sharla and Natasha Frost, both aged 26, were accused of launching an attack on the Hispanic family that lived across the street from them shortly after 7:30 p.m. on the 7th of the month. The sisters reportedly initiated the confrontation by shouting racial insults at members of the family who were standing outside, screaming at them to go back to their country. When the victims threatened to call the police, the Frosses went back inside, but emerged again shortly thereafter to continue their racially charged barrage of insults and profanities. According to the Adams County Sheriff's Office, the Frost sisters eventually approached one of the neighbors, an older woman, and began physically assaulting her. They allegedly punched her head and pulled her hair while continuing to hurl verbal abuse at her. In the incident's aftermath, the sisters were taken into police custody on 2 counts of bias-motivated crime causing bodily injury, a 4th-degree felony, and 1 count of 3rd-degree trespass. Number 6. Samantha and Toni Brown. On January the 9th of 2010, Englishwoman Samantha Brown and her boyfriend, Dean Darville, went to the Greater Manchester home of the former's sister, Toni, for an evening of drinking. The trio were reportedly joined by another female friend whom Samantha at one point accompanied to an upstairs bedroom for several hours. At about 1 a.m. the following morning, Darville caught the 2 women in a compromising position and accused his girlfriend of infidelity. The heated row that subsequently ensued between the couple culminated with Samantha brandishing a carving knife, which she plunged into her boyfriend's upper thigh, severing several arteries. Darville pleaded with the Brown sisters to call an ambulance, but Toni refused, instead attempting to bandage the man's wounds herself. The female friend attempted to contact emergency services, but Toni allegedly slapped her, and the call was consequently disconnected. Darville's condition drastically deteriorated over the course of the next hour, but the homeowner still refused to summon an ambulance until about 3:10 a.m. when she called 999 and told the operator that the man had arrived at her doorstep already injured. By the time the victim was transported to North Manchester General Hospital, he'd already succumbed to his critical injuries. It subsequently emerged that the wound Samantha had inflicted would have been survivable had Darville been given immediate medical attention. Samantha was consequently sentenced to 5 years in a Young Offenders Institute for the stabbing, while her sister was jailed for 4 years for her complicity in Darville's death. Number 5. Morgan Roof. The sister of an infamous mass murderer was arrested in March of 2018 for bringing weapons and drugs into her Columbia, South Carolina high school. Back on June the 17th of 2015, self-proclaimed racist Dylan Roof entered the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston and gunned down 9 African-American victims, a heinous crime for which he was ultimately sentenced to death. His younger sister Morgan subsequently derided many of her classmates on social media for walking out of school during a national day of anti-gun violence protest. The 18-year-old wrote in part, "I hope it's a trap and y'all get shot." Shortly after the team's alarming social media posts surfaced online, Columbia authorities also learned that she'd allegedly been smuggling contraband items into AC Flora High School. A school resource officer reportedly found a knife, pepper spray, and marijuana in Morgan's possession. She was consequently arrested before being released on a $5,000 bond. The judge presiding over her case ordered her not to go back to school in the wake of her disturbing behavior. Number 4. Joanne Pascarelli and Marie Wilson. 2 sisters who worked as lunch ladies at affluent schools in New Canaan, Connecticut, secretly pocketed nearly $500,000 from their employers between 2012 and 2017. School district officials first started suspecting that something was amiss in 2016 when Saxon Middle School implemented a new software that tracked cash intake. Prior to the software's installation, the school averaged a daily cash deposit ranging from $18 to $33. After the computer program started tracking the money more closely, the average deposit skyrocketed to $93 per day in 2017 and $183 per day in 2018. Upon further investigation into the matter, it was determined that the discrepancy in the year-over-year figures could be attributed to an elaborate scam operated by Joanne Pascarelli and her sister Marie Wilson, who served as an assistant food director for New Canaan High School. The sisters would lowball how much cash they collected each day and pocket the rest. A financial fraud that resulted in $478,588 being stolen from Saxon Middle School and New Canaan High School over the course of 5 years. Although investigators claimed that the sisters' scheme may have been active for a total of 15 years, they were only criminally charged for the money stolen between 2012 and 2017. They were both arrested on charges of larceny and defrauding a public community in the summer of 2018. It was reported that the Board of Education received a $500,000 reimbursement from its insurance company as restitution for the conniving sisters' crimes. Number 3. Jarrah Jean Santos Ramirez and Victoria Big Crow Clown. In January of 2009, Utah police were sent to the Candlestick Lane apartments in Midvale to perform a welfare check on 62-year-old Lester Lloyd Janice, the latter, who was described as a Native American spiritual leader as well as a Purple Heart veteran, was found dead in his apartment with 2 belts wrapped around his neck. A subsequent autopsy determined Janice's cause of death to have been strangulation, and local police immediately opened up a homicide investigation into the matter. However, with a dearth of actionable evidence for investigators to go on, the case went cold for nearly a decade. Then, while re-interviewing witnesses in October of 2018, detectives got the breakthrough they'd long hoped for. A woman named Victoria Big Crow Clown allegedly confessed to strangling Janice along with her sister, Jarrah Jean Santos Ramirez, following a contentious argument. Clown was taken into custody in Georgia while Santos Ramirez was arrested in Nevada. They were both extradited back to Salt Lake County, where they initially faced murder charges. The sisters ultimately pleaded guilty to lesser charges of manslaughter and robbery, and they were consequently sentenced to anywhere from 1 to 15 years behind bars. Today's topic was requested by Nicole Wilson, Terry Ford, and Emmy Coffee Bean. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Sarah and Caitlin Lothrop. 19-year-old twin sisters from Raleigh, North Carolina were taken into police custody on prostitution charges in the summer of 2014. Subsequent reports detailed how Sarah and Caitlin Lothrop had been accused of advertising their illicit escort services on a website and had maintained a dwelling for the purpose of accommodating their clients. After their illegal operation had been uncovered by local police, the sisters were arrested on Summit Park Drive, a hotel area behind the Crabtree Valley Mall. Both women were charged with aiding and abetting prostitution, while Sarah also faced a charge of simple assault. Their bond was reportedly set at $4,000. Number 1. Ariel Smith and Ebony Parks. In the early morning hours of February the 25th of 2022, the police in Indianapolis, Indiana, were dispatched to a club in the 4700 block of Century Plaza Road after receiving reports of a shooting. Upon their arrival, officers found a gunshot victim in critical condition. 25-year-old Sequoia Williams was rushed to the hospital, where she was ultimately pronounced dead. In the incident's aftermath, Indianapolis detectives quickly identified Ariel Smith, aged 23, as their prime suspect. She was brought into custody on criminal charges of murder, pointing a firearm, and carrying a handgun without a license. According to the resulting probable cause affidavit, Smith and Williams had gotten into a contentious argument inside the club that eventually morphed into a physical altercation. The situation had escalated when Smith allegedly threw a drink at the other woman, prompting a security guard to bring the former outside to quell the tension. Shortly thereafter, Smith got into the passenger seat of a black SUV, being driven by her sister, 27-year-old Ebony Parks. Williams approached the vehicle and began pounding on the front passenger window, at which point Smith opened fire on her. The victim's boyfriend, who'd reportedly been performing at the club that night, then came onto the scene. He was held at gunpoint by Smith before Parks finally drove off. The latter, who faced a criminal charge of assisting a criminal, told investigators that she hadn't been aware of the fact that her sister had shot Williams, but that she'd asked her about the gunshot later. Smith indicated that she'd only meant to fire a warning shot at the victim, whose death she labeled an unfortunate accident. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have an evil twin sister who tries to ruin your life, or get cheated on by all of your romantic partners? Let us know in the comments section below.